Hey guys, what's cracking? Godsman here, coming at you with a custom card review. It's finally back after nearly a year out of action. That's right, dude, nearly a whole year. I'm here again reviewing some of your guys' customs, and honestly, what better timing as Divine Season 1 has just passed us by. So I'm expecting a lot of nice tasting new standard type customs coming through, maybe some faded ones, or maybe because we got the energy mechanic, so I can see a lot of energy blasts coming around. It's the perfect time to see what you guys have cooked up with the paradigm shift that's come up here. Unfortunately though, a bit of bad news, we don't have Nabscoon here anymore. I know, it sucks, man. Bro's got other things to do this time around, so I'm gonna have to fly in solo for this custom review season, so I hope you guys can bear with just me here. I am excited though, not only because of the Divine's standard power paradigm shift, but also because with the help of Refight and a couple other folks, we've been getting a lot more folks using a custom card maker in order to bring up some customs. And doing just a very quick skim throughout this post, I've noticed there have been a few actual images popped up for custom cards. So we get to see even the visuals for these cards for some of them, which I think is really, really cool. I'm so happy that the custom community space here has been steadily growing and improving over time. It's so cool. Alright, well, that's all for the exposition. Let's get right down into it. I'm gonna tackle the first few here today, starting by the whoever came first, right? Because I figured that'd be the most apropos way to go about it. First, we got Klutzy Custard, which, if I remember correctly, I think this is, what's his name, like Vanguard Potential on YouTube, Zekrock on the other stuff. He's a Phantom Blaster guy. Oh, case in point, it's a Phantom Blaster Dystopia, grade 3 twin drive, 11,000 power. Ooh, we might get some premium support from this, or maybe it's even OG. Legion to, oh, it's a Legion card, trippy. Okay, Phantom Blaster Overlord, continuous in the Vanguard circle. While this unit is Legion during your turn, it gets critical +1. It is PBO, and the cost of your Legion mate's auto ability is reduced by Counterblast 2. Secondly, auto on the Vanguard circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, cost Counterblast 1, choose 2 of your rear guards and retire them. Choose up to 1 normal unit with Blaster in its name from your drop zone, call it to an open rear circle, and this unit and that unit gets power +10,000 until end of the turn. That is a really, really nice skill. Something to know about Phantom Blaster is this is keeping so in theme with how Phantom Blaster as a archetype or a Vanguard archetype works. It's all about getting crits, getting power, being a very lethal attack. And some variants of Phantom Blaster also facilitates retires in exchange for multi-attack. Most notably the V-Series PBO. If you use this with that, you can also use V-Series PBO's effect in order to retire any of your rears. Your opponent chooses the same, and then you call a blaster unit from the deck with +10,000 power. So with this, keep in mind you're actually reducing the cost by Counterblast 2, so the Counterblast on your Legion mate is going to be free, right? The basic idea is you can multi-attack with both to where you're retiring 4, getting back 2. They're each going to get 10,000 power, and then between the auto skill of the Legion and also the continuous ability of the mate, you're going to get 10,000 power yourself. So that's 20,000 total for the actual Vanguard swing, putting it up to, I believe, 42,000 without any other boost applied. The G-Series PBO is a similar way. You retire 2 to call back a Blaster Dart from the soul of the drop zone, and that unit and this unit will get 10,000 power anyway. So very, very similar power lines there, and that one also has the stipulation for crit, but I don't think that's going to matter too much here. It's really nice. It's very flavorful. It keeps in the theme with the blasters. Of course, it being 11k base does kind of hurt the premium implications of it, which, you know, just a little fun fact, I hear this going around where people call 11k base history collection numbers. To you vets out there, can you freaking believe that? History collection numbers. How people forget. One last thing to note about this I've noticed is the Counterblast 2. Reducing my Counterblast 2 does mean that the original PBO is viable because you can Counterblast 1 and do the Persona Blast cost instead of just the Counterblast 3, which is a ridiculous cost, especially by today's standards. But in all seriousness, you probably just go for either the PBOs anyway, and they're effectively free for their Counterblast. So that's a really, really good improvement. I dig how this takes several aspects of PBO and turns them into overdrive. It's really nice. He's got a secondary card though. Knight of Spite Brimage. Yeah, that sounds like a Shadow Paladin, alright? Okay, grade 1, 5k power, 5k shield. Shield is 5k. Interesting. United Sanctuary, Shadow Paladin, Elf. So this one might be meant for standard then, because in standard it's where the grade 1s are 5k, whereas they're 10k and V series. But this is a 5k base, which is more important for V series domain, because V series domain calls 5k bases from the deck specifically. So that's a little bit of an interesting intersectionality, I've noticed. Auto on the rear. When this unit is retired for the cost of your Vanguard's ability, I wonder how. If it's in Legion, well, okay. Search your deck for up to one grade 1 or less normal unit. Call it to an open back or rear circle. At the end of your turn, retire that unit. Okay. This is pretty cool, right? It just converts one of your minuses and brings it back. So now if you retire 2 and call 1, if you're retiring this, then instead of a -1, it's a break even, and it means that you can reestablish a full call. That's very powerful. If you put in part and parcel with one of the many blaster units that counts as 2 retires for when they're retired, then you don't even neg at all with this skill, and you're just getting pretty hefty multi-attacks. And depending on what you call for the grade 1 or less, you could call some pretty nice stuff, right? Most particularly, I'm thinking about calling a Charon from the deck, the V series one, so that you can Soul Blast and countercharge. So in case you are feeling the CV issues for some reason, you can countercharge back this CV cost because it doesn't stop this one. Yeah, this is a perfect unit to go part and parcel with the Phantom Blaster Dystopia. Overall, really cool card. I think it's pretty flavorful. It does what Blasters wants to do, and I wouldn't mind playtesting this. Alright, the homie Noir is up next. Heck yeah. Okay, he has a little note here. Thanks to the ominous presence of the next season, or premise of the next season, got me to thinking of a new form for my favorite overdressed deck. Dredge is technically Wildred. Okay, fine. Faded one of Domination, Favrano, Ravon. Ah, right. I think the homie Noir, right? He was talking about this a little bit. He wanted to make a faded one for Favrano. Let's see what he decided on ultimately. So, Favrano Ravon. I don't know what this name is referring to. It sounds like it'd be a name of him, though. It sounds like a Vanguard name. Persona Ride, 13k power, twin drive, all the usual stuff. Continuous, we only have one copy of this guy in your deck. Okay, makes sense. Vanguard Circle, act once per turn. Cost, put a card from your hand into your soul, draw a card, and your opponent chooses a rear guard and retires it for every 6 Dark States units in your soul. If your opponent's a grade 3 greater Vanguard, it gets critical +1 to end of turn. Alright. So that's a way of just getting a lot of retires centralized in your Vanguard more than just one, because normally how it works is at the beginning of the main phase, it forces your opponent to choose a card to retire, and then it'll put a card from hand into soul when you retire. And it's not just off of that retire, it's off of every retire it sees. This one is reversing the process. It's getting a few retires, but you're hard initiating the hand into soul to draw effect. So it's sort of backwards, but I think I dig this version a bit better though. But it's getting the crit right away. So if you're going second, then you don't have to wait a turn to get that crit, because normally you have to get 10,000 power in a crit on turn 4 onwards. So that's nice. But where's the power, I wonder? Vanguard continues during your turn. This unit gets 10,000. Oh, here it is. This unit gets 10,000 power for every 6 Dark States unit in your soul. Okay. This is trippy. This doesn't even care about grades anymore. It just wants you to hard hold Dark States units in your soul now. That is an interesting compromise. It does mean you're probably going to have to soul charge more aggressively, as opposed to previous Favrano builds, where as long as you had the few but the high grades, you were good to go. But it does mean that you also scale a lot harder when you do so, because the previous Favrano, once you reach 13, that's it. You didn't care. Anything was extra. For this, it does incentivize you to go even further beyond plus ultra. It sort of reminds me of a V-Series Ammon, where depending on the amount of cards you sold, and it was increments of 6, interestingly enough. So this feels the same way there. I kind of like it. Divine Skill, right? If we can't have a faded one without one of these, although I'm not sure if destined ones are going to be a little bit different. Yada, right? Vanguard Circle Auto. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, cost Counterblast 3 and 3 of your rear guards into your soul. Okay, I think it's supposed to have a put, but you know, we understand what he's saying. And stand this unit. Ooh. Okay, so instead of just a Counterblast 2 and restand, it's Counterblast 3, and it's way more costly, but it's putting cards to your soul, which means that you could actually hit another threshold, right? You can get another 10k threshold here. But the stand is also more powerful because you're able to keep the twin drive on that. But it's only once per game that you get that restand. That's trippy. How do I think about this? I think I like how even keeled it is, where you can act a bit more aggressively immediately, at least as far as your stats go. But your divine skill is the big bursty multi-attack turn. It's a lot like Zorga that way, albeit it's way more costly for it. But I don't know. I don't know about this one. I think it's cool though. I think it's cool, but it might need a little bit more strong offensive rear guards to supplement, because on turns that isn't your divine skill turn, it feels sort of like a baked down buff Saga, right? Just a few retires and then a pretty hefty Vanguard swing, right? So I think it needs some good rears, and fortunately he did put some 4 cards here. Devil Shade, grade 1, usual stats. Continuous rear circle. During the battle, this unit boosts. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with 5 known as card name, this unit gets 5k. Oh, okay, so it's like the typical grade 1 booster Zelda Fade to 1 scale. Okay, that fair play there. Auto rear, with this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with 5 known as card name, this unit gets 2k power until end of that battle, as is predictable. Cost EB3 and Soul Blast 1. Alright, cool, we're using the energy mechanic, that's nice. When your opponent would call a card to Guardian Circle, he or she may call a card with the same grade as the card you Soul Blast for this card's cost. If he or she does not, this unit gets power plus 10,000 until end of battle. Oh, okay. That one's easy, right? Because you have a lot of grade 3s that put themselves into soul. So you just Soul Blast one of those out because their grade doesn't matter anymore for your soul stack. It's just how many cards you have in soul purely. So you just Soul Blast one of those out, and because the vast majority of grade 3s don't have defensive skills, you just straight up say, hey, you want to get rid of it? Otherwise, my card's going to get even harder to guard. That's kind of nice. I do like how centralized the power is on that one. Really good card here. This feels almost perfect for this deck. I like this a lot. Okay, and then, oh, we got a ride line. Cool. Bearer the Beast Mark. Ooh, we're kind of getting to some biblical stuff with that, right? Because I think there's like some elements of the Bible which refers to the devil as like the beast, right? Okay, this is the usual starter. Moving on. Knight of the Beast. Okay. When wrote upon by Beast of Domination, I wonder what the grade 2 is. Cost, put a Dark States card from your hand into your soul. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards to the same grade as the card put for this cost and retire it. If you cannot retire, draw a card. Wow, the fact that it actually like it requires the same grade is a bit hyper specific. That's trippy to me. I wonder if this is a little bit like underpowered, relatively speaking, if anything, right? It's definitely fair, and it also has the flavor of matching grades, right? Because this also had a flavor with grades where you had to Soul Blast the grade specifically and ask them for it. So, okay, I like the flavor of it, but it might be a little bit weak for what the modern ride line does, right? It is effectively a break even. Whereas most modern ride lines are +2s, usually. Beast of Domination. When wrote upon by a unit with 5 or no on its card name with the Divine skill, alright, can't use the original one. Cost, bind this unit face up. Ooh, search your deck for up to 1 Dark States grade 3 and put in your soul. Okay, again with this, right? This one doesn't even... Yeah, I mean, this one is binding itself, which means that you're only breaking even in your soul stack, and you're getting a grade 3 for it. Yeah, I wish this would have... Yeah, what I wish, if just to make this kind of like cooler, is if it let you add, you choose 2 Dark States cards, right? Choose Dark States cards. 1 to the soul, 1 to the hand. So that's a plus, and you break even the soul, but you get a soul of your choice, and there are some impactful stuffs in the soul. I think that would be nice because it gives you great access to the generic Dark States pool, which I think Dark States decks are sort of struggling with utilizing the Dark States generic pool, because the Dark States generic pool... they straddle the fence on the different aspects of what Dark States bosses do, right? Like getting sucked into soul, soul charging, yada yada. This one can do a bit of everything, including the sucked into soul bit because of the divine skill. So I feel like there might have been a wasted opportunity there, but still, I think the concept is there, and that's really nice. Oh, and he has a random Griffogila card. All right, fair play. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so we got a grade 0, Dragon Shade Wretch, Budding Numter. So it's another Dragon Shade Wretch. Shield 5k. Okay, so it's a grade 0 with power 5k. Continuous on the back row rear circle. If this unit is on a rear circle with 2 or more Dragon Tree markers, this unit and all markers on this unit's circle are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. Yosh, we can keep the Hydra Gums together. That's nice. Act if your opponent has a grade 1 or greater Vanguard. Cost, discard 2 cards from your hand. Choose a Calamity card in your right deck and put it into your soul. Ooh, okay. I see the point here. So you're taking a huge neg, but you're speeding up your condition a bit because you're getting to Griffogila sooner. That means that if you went second, because normally when you go second, right, that means you would get Griffo second. With this, that means you're going to get Griffo first. But if you went first, then on turn 2, you put another one into your soul. That means that you can, oh wait, you can get 3 there? Okay. Yeah, I think that this just lets you ride a turn early. But wait. Ooh, hold on a second. This has another function. If you do this after you ride to Griffo, and you take a Calamity card and put it in your soul, it's not in your ride zone anymore. So when you go to remove Calamity cards, effectively, you've already sped up your condition by a turn, because they don't care about binding Calamity cards. Like, the act of binding doesn't matter. It's just so you can get it out of the ride zone. So you can get it out of the ride zone in other ways, and it's effectively the same thing for you. That's a trippy card. It's a huge neg for it, but if you're trying to speed up to your condition, I kind of like the concept of this thing. And the fact that it can't get affected by the opponent's card effects, and it being a back row unit, means that effectively your opponent can't harm it. That's a formidable card. I can see where some people might attempt Griffo a little bit harder now because of it. It doesn't solve one of Griffo's biggest issues, which is it has 0 early game. But this makes it to where even with 0 early game, you at least can have more than just a crapshoot's chance at getting that condition. So kind of cool card overall. I like what Noir did for us. Alright, Tweeter, I think that's how you would pronounce his name. Here's the encounter custom cards. I've been posting this up with custom card. Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad because I've noticed that over time I've been skimming like through the subreddit over the past few months, and like people do occasionally show some customs. Sometimes I'll read them, sometimes I don't, right? I'm glad though that at least like one guy has like noticed this post so that they can share them here so we don't lose out on that good content. Don't know if you've already seen it. I don't think I have, but we'll check. But excited to see what your reaction is to it. Well, I'm reacting right now. So name, okay, just some correction. Rascal Sweeper auto skill is once per turn. We're gonna get an Aquaforce card. All skills that refer to clan name only works with that clan. Got to shorten the wording because they were a word limit before in the custom maker. Okay, that makes sense. I heard about that from the boy Refight. Yeah, that's one of like the limitations of it, is that you can only put so much on it. Posted another idea I had about Cardfight Vanguard plus Squint cards focused on Witchers. We'll see if I have motivation to finish it. There's 6 decimals and 10 cards in the drive. That's 16 over which is the limit. Just choose whatever you think is more interesting to review. 10 cards in the drive. Let's see. Destin Winter Ruins, Kaziel. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to go into the drive for now, and then we'll see. We'll see how I feel afterwards. I think I might like skip over the Destin ones, or maybe I'll just do them, right? Like, he made an oopsie, but like he admits the oopsie and it's not like that egregious, so I think I might let it slide, not gonna lie. Oh, we got some Asia Circuit cards. Okay, so this must be I get the point, right? So he's doing Asia Circuit support because we got Ezel, Maelstrom, and Dragonic Kaiser, right? So he's going to make the upgrades now. Makes sense. Let's see. So Blazing Goliath, Platinum Ezel. I guess if where we got the End and Phantom Blaster Overlord and MOB, that was an homage to set 5. So this would be the homage to set 9. Auto on the Vanguard Circle. At the end of this unit attached, cost Counterblast 2. Ooh, and discard a card from your hand. This is going to be a heck of a skill. Bind this unit. Choose one card with Ezel in its card name, different from this unit's name from your soul. Okay, so you can interact with the other Ezels from V series, so there's premium implications there. Write it as stand, and that unit gains drive -1 until end of turn. If you have not activated Persona Ride this turn, activate Persona Ride. All right. Okay. So that's pretty wicked. It's for the Counterblast 2, you get an extra attack, which they get all those skills, and it's also a +1 if you happen to Persona Ride with this, because in addition to gaining the drive back, which it compensates for the discard, you get the extra Persona Ride. Okay, that's cool. Let's see. Auto on the bind zone. When your Vanguard with Ezel in its card name attacks, costs Energy Blast 4. Ooh, so you can't use this in premium. This part of the effect anyway. And put this card into your drop. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 card from among them, call an open rear, and put the rest on the top or bottom of your deck in A order. Got a little bit of deck stacking there. Kind of reminds me of the V-Series Platinum Ezel, where there's an emphasis on what's on the top of your deck. If you called a card, that called unit gets power plus 5,000 to end of turn. So let's look at this mainly in the standard implications, because this can do a lot of things with the Ezel in the premium implication. You know, when you do the reride, you're able to like get another Excel marker, which is yet another draw. And then if you do things like I don't think Ezel Scissors would like work out too much. I mean, you can get the drive from it and stuff, but you could also just do the let's see, different card name. So you can't do the Platina Ezel from V Series as a ride for this, which is really important because that's normally the one you want to go for. Maybe Raven-haired, maybe a ride in Raven-haired. Oh, but that's like CB intensive because this is Counterblast 2 for that. Okay, again, let me stop talking about the premium stuff, right? I like this. You can go with Ezel, right? By rewriting the Ezel and getting the Persona ride, you get even more multi-attack with the Ezel when he's going for the swing. And then in addition to that, you're also able to get, for the Energy Blast 4 cost, you can get even more multis and a little bit of power. This is a lot of just superior calling during the battle phase. That feels like old school Paladins, right? Like if you remember how Aichi played Golds in the Asia circuit art, he did pay pretty exorbitant costs, but there was times where he would superior call in the middle battle phase, and then he can do some combos with that, right? Like if you called Pelennor, you can ride Pelennor stand, or well, quote unquote move it to the Vanguard circle. If you're able to call something like Lop-Ear Shooter, and the Lop-Ear Shooter can proc its skill and call yet again. So it's got that nice old Gold Paladin feel. Also because you are getting just a little bit of power. It's not anything too big, it's just poking. You're just kind of going fast and aggressive and keep asking your opponent for just any guard, right? I like that. I do think that feels flavorful. I wonder what the support cards are doing though. Knight of Passion, Bagdemagus, which, yes, that's how you pronounce it, by the way. It's Bagdemagus, not Badgemagus. I know some people pronounce it that way. Bagdemagus is just a lot cooler, too, isn't it? Auto. When this unit is placed on the rear circle from your deck, nice. Classic Gold Paladin conditions right there, baby, particularly with Breakrite Liberators. Cost, choose one or more of your rear cards with Gold Paladin as their only clan. Okay, so you can't bot deck the generic Keter stuff, and put them to the bottom of your deck. This unit gets power plus 5,000 for each card put at the bottom of the deck through this effect. Ooh, you can convert your pluses into some really big power. Of course, you're negging a lot with this, but hey, man, especially if you're planning to superior call overcrap anyway, you might just do it. So go figure, right? It may unironically be worth it to do it if you're not bot decking for stuff like Din Trains already, which is a typical play pattern for D Series Ezel. Auto in the rear circle. When your Vanguard with Ezel and its name is placed on the Vanguard circle, okay, the synergies there is obvious. Funnily enough, you can also do this on turn 2 because of the superior ride chain that you get with Ezel's ride deck. Energy Blast 3. Ooh, that's 7 energy if you include Platinum. And put this unit into your soul. Look at the top card of your deck and may call to an open rare from the bottom of your deck. I like that. The search radius is only the top card, so if you're baller, you're gonna call it, right? Hell, even if you're a trigger, you might just want to be that guy and call it anyway. That is so old school Paladins. It really just reads as Aichi not caring what it is. He calls off the off the top of the deck with Ezel's skill. He's just calling for the power, bro. He needs to fill his board now and go hard. So yeah, Bagdemagus, I really like this card design. I hope that the Energy Blast here doesn't conflict with Platina too much. Like, hell, if the grade 1, because I see that we got a grade 1 there, that Energy Blast, Trey Magnifique. Let's go confirm that right now, actually. When this unit is placed on the rear, due to the effect of your card's ability, if you have a Vanguard with only have one clan, that might Energy Blast, Energy Charger, oh yeah. Knight of Passion Tour is looking kind of fired though. Okay. Out on the rear circle. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted if you have a Vanguard with Ezel in its card name. Cost Soul Blast 1 and bind this unit. Choose up to 2 cards with only Gold Paladin as their only clan from your drop zone and put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you put 2 cards, draw a oh, that's so good. You put back pieces, you convert this unit into a draw in the process, which is really good for Ezel because you're already converting board into other things like power or resources. This is getting you card advantage back for it. That's so nice, dude. And it binds itself so you can't put itself back. That keeps it really fair. And you only get the Energy Charge 3 if you're superior calling it and the Vanguard only has 1 clan. This is interesting because that means Torre can actually Energy Charge in Luart. Like, I could unironically see Luard players getting, if there's a really strong energy card that they can use, like maybe they could use, I know the one. They can use another great one. It's like Brady Arc or whatever. It's from the Festival Collection. You Energy Blast to remove it from the drop of rear circle to add back a card that you discarded. This combos with that kind of well. I like that. Yeah, this is a pretty legit card, man. This is really necessary in frickin' Ezel, because if you're wanting to keep Energy Blasting 7, this is going to offset that cost by miles. And it's also useful in other Keter encounter decks. Really, really good card. Honestly, it might be my favorite of the three, not gonna lie, which seems a little bit odd. You think you like the boss the best, but yeah, you know, I tend to appreciate the small stuff, right? Let's move on to the blood next. Let's see. Right, Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion the Blood. Let's see who you got. 3 effects. Continues to the Vanguard Circle. If you have a card with Vermilion in its name from your soul and you played a normal order this turn, this unit gains critical +1. Oh, okay, so we're really banking on playing normal orders, which I guess makes sense because we do have the Vermilion Order, which the Vermilion Order is a pretty crucial part of the deck. It gets you power and also lets you bind the stuff you hit, so it's pretty damn necessary for the deck strategy. Act in the Vanguard Circle once per turn. If your opponent has 5 or more face-up cards in their bind zone, ooh, we're having a Thunderstrike condition now, baby. That's Thunderstrike 5. Costs Counterblast 2 and Energy Blast 3. This, oh man, does that mean Glory's also gonna Counterblast 2? Oh, I bet. He's trying to interpret the really heavy Counterblast cost. Although I think even in the OG, Glory Maelstrom was only a Counterblast 1. He was oddly cheap, but he needed to be because frickin' Leon would he would Counterblast 4 for Cypress, just get +4k. He was wild, dude. Until end of turn, all of your front row units with Narukami as their only clan gain 10,000 power, and when this unit would attack, choose 5 of your opponent's rear circles, and this unit battles all the units on the chosen rear and your opponent's Vanguard. Yo, it's a field wipe. It attacks literally everything. That's so nice. Now, of course, one of the Vermilion's weaknesses is if your opponent can dodge you by putting their units and then converting it to hand advantage. Like if you're Red Seal, you can sack all of your units and get draws, or you can sack them for other stuff. Ezel would actually irritate the frick out of this potentially, right? So that does feel bad. But in matchups where they just call everything, they're like, haha, just pick 2. It's like, no, pick everything. And you're getting effectively an extra Persona ride bonus, right? As long as you have Narukami's in the front row, and you do have some pretty decent Narukami attackers, right? You got the Dragonic Death Scythe, you also got the Great Two, which is I think Thunderstorm Dragoon. Yeah, you just throw those in the front row and they're gonna get even bigger. That's a really, really good effect. I like that you're converting a really big cost into a really big payoff. It feels like the blood all the way through. Act on the Vanguard Circle. Oh, also because if you're binding and hitting a lot of stuff, yeah, that's pretty nice. But you need to accrue 5 bind. Ooh, that's going to take a little while, though. How are you going to get that? Maybe this will help. Act Vanguard Circle once per turn. If you're not playing in order this turn, deal this unit 1 damage. Oh, we're playing V the Blood now. Choose an order card, any order card from your bind zone and play it. You may play an additional order this turn. Ooh, so you can stack up on your order. Your Narukami order, or you could also play other orders like the Gradius Gradle. You could play some other normal order stuff that goes part and parcel with the order package, like with what was her name, like Letitia or whatever I think is the name. No, Latifa. Latifa was the name of the Dragon Empire one. But maybe that's not for the best because she's a great Jew and you want your front row to be Narukami ideal, so maybe she'll go to the back afterwards, but then you'd have to call over her anyway. That's cool though. So you can convert damage to get an extra order. If the order is high impact enough, you can just go balls to the wall and do it. It does mean that, ironically, you can't ultimate break with this because you'll just go to 6 and die unless you hit a heal, which is kind of baller. On the other hand though, dealing 1 damage to you, if you're just planning to go for broken win that turn, that's kind of a pseudo rescue check for you, like a Gabriel player would. If you happen to hit a trigger on that, you can just put it on the Vanguard or any of your units. If you happen to hit an over trigger, that can be kind of crazy. Funnily enough though, this has anti-synergy with Drag Beta because if you hit it during the main phase, it does nothing except for the 100 million. It's like, great, dude. What a waste. So this might unironically ask you to play like Idas Faro, or maybe it's one of the 2 new OTs we're going to get in Festival Collection. We'll see about that. Kind of a cool card though, pretty balls to the wall. I'm not sure if I'm totally convinced by the payoff of this, but it does feel super flavorful, so it does get a lot of points for that. Move on to the Great 2. Where is he? There he is. Desert Gunner Sheeden. Nice, nice, nice. Continues with the rear circle. During your turn, if your opponent has 3 or more cards in their bind zone, okay, more bind restrictions there, and you have a Vanguard with only 1 clan, this unit gets plus 5,000 power and boost. Okay, 15k booster. That actually seems a little bit ironic to me because we're really concerned about getting front rows there, and he's like, hey man, use me as a back row. I'm sure you need it. I'm like, okay, maybe. Act on the rear circle once per turn. If you have a Vanguard with Vermilion in its card name, cost Energy Blast 3, more energy, and discard a card from your hand. Choose one of your opponent's rear and bind all units on the chosen rear. Okay, so this could accumulate an extra bind for you, which is really, really nifty. I get why he's doing that now. But of course, overall, this is definitely reliant on your opponent investing cards to the rear circle to get the most out of it. I kind of would have liked if it had conditions that benefited you if your opponent had like no rears, because then you're in a win-win situation where they either get rid of their rears or you do it for them. Still, this seems like a kind of decent card. And really, you just need Narukami names anyway, so you might just play it for that alone. But it's not my favorite card, admittedly. Let's go to the grade 1. We got Desert Gunner Ryan. I like the cigarette he's got going on there. He's looking pretty gangster, bro. This is like every rogue ever, and they like multi-class into Dragonborn in D&D. He's like, I'm gonna take my lightning dragon hand cannon and sneak attack. Auto, when this unit is placed on the rear circle, if your opponent have, I don't think that's English, if your opponent have 1 or more cards in their bind zone, okay, that's fairly easy, especially with Sheeden, and you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with only 1 clan, so this is, okay, this is a turn 3 play. Soul Charge 1. If they have 3 or more on the cards in their bind zone, this unit gets 5k until end of turn. This is only when place, which means that it doesn't work if you're trying to battle stuff, because that's during the battle phase. You can't place it that turn anyway. Still, it gets you a soul charge, which is kind of nice. It gets a little bit of power. So if you can secure your condition, you're good to go. So yeah, that's pretty decently nice. You need soul anyway for things like Death Scythe and whatnot. Auto on the rear circle counter once per turn. When your Vanguard Vermilion is card named attack hits, okay, it's a once per turn, so you can't keep doing this for every hit, unfortunately, which is typically how Vermilion plays, but it must be a good effect then. If your opponent has no front or rear guards, we'll be sure of that. I like that they have that condition. Costs Soul Blast 1, Counter Charge 1. Yeah, I'm totally convinced by that. Even if you don't get this condition off immediately, the top one, you could definitely play this guy for that second condition. That's super pog, man. Yeah, I like Ryan a lot. Just definitely good bread and butter rear guards that help you get going and sustain your resources. Super cool. Yeah, I like him a lot. Okay, now let's move on to the Maelstrom stuff. I noticed he has 4 cards in there. Hold on a second. Okay, that's an order, but we'll get into that in a second. So that's why he gave it a 4 card, because it's like 3. It's like the main Vanguard, 2 support units, but he got a support order because it's like more order based, which is kind of weird because like Kaiser the Blood might have deserved another order, not gonna lie. Okay, so Blue Storm Supreme Dragon Glory Maelstrom. Continues the Vanguard circle. During the 5th battle of this turn, this unit gains critical +1, and your opponent can recall triggered units from hand to the Guardian circle. So that's how they decide to take the Glory Guard restrict there. For those of you guys who don't know, in the original series, Glory Maelstrom skill was that your opponent couldn't guard with like grade 1 cards, right? So you could only really guard with triggers effectively against this thing. This guy took the opposite approach, which is pretty nice. I think it's kind of flavorful because it does mean that your opponent still has the ability to use Blitz Orders and Sentinels, Elementarius, Sanctitude, stuff like that. So that is kind of nice. It does kind of suck a little bit though, because if your opponent don't see those very key cards, then oof. But then again, your opponent's probably going to be guarding their triggers more often than not to stop the rear guards, because PGs aren't as effective against Maelstrom, who's really pokey, multi-attack heavy. Auto, when this unit is placed upon riding on a card with Maelstrom in its card name, search your deck or drop zone for up to 1 Blue Storm Armada card put in your order zone. If you search your deck, shuffle your deck. Alright, you get more Armada cards, which makes sense that he's giving us a second Armada card to get more search targets. That's kind of nice. The fact that it's only when riding upon a Maelstrom, it does mean that if you're doing the cross ride, then you're getting a benefit because you can just do the regular Maelstrom and you still get this. But so far, I'm not actually seeing anything that tells you to not play Glory Maelstrom in the ride zone. Technically, both of these skills can still work if you're just riding this at grade 3 and then you're just riding over it. So let's see what if the third effect does that. Act on the Vanguard circle once per turn. If you have 4 or more Blue Storm Armada cards in your order zone, ooh, that's going to take a while to get to that. Cost Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 1 until end of turn. All of your Aqua Force rear guards cannot boost or be boosted. Gains 5,000 power for every 2 Blue Storm Armada cards in your order zone. So I guess if you get 6 in there somehow, then they get 15. Normally it's going to be 10. And auto rear circle at the end of the battle. This unit attacked. You may swap this unit's position with the unit on your back row rear. Okay. So okay. If you guys have ever seen the Xerath Dragons, he effectively made Megiddo. You counterblast 2, and everyone gets to do the rear circle swap, where they can all swap to the front row and then conduct their attack. And you're not boosting with them. You're just attacking with all 5 of your rears and also the Vanguard. That's pretty flavorful from an Aquaforce Magallanica point of view. It is a little bit trippy that Glory Maelstrom is doing that, right? Like, Glory Maelstrom always felt a little bit more Vanguard-centric, but this one actually seems oddly more concerned about making your rear guards, like, more threatening. Like, yeah, it has the continuous skill up here, which is kind of nice, but there's actually no way to, like, boost up his power very much. As a matter of fact, if you're using the Axe skill, you can't even boost anything. Right? So he might very well, when you use this Axe skill, unless you like give him other like sources of power, which I guess Tidal Assault does that, right? I think Tidal Assault's the one that gets him your Maelstrom 5k. Aside from stuff like that, he's swinging really low with that guard restrict, so that should be fairly easy to guard. Which then again, I guess might be for the best because you're stopping the triggers anyway, so it's annoying to use a PG on a low card, like on a low guard like that. So maybe there is kind of a method to that madness there. Yeah, this is kind of a cool card. I like that there's almost like 2 aspects to the finishing play with this, and it's got the Megiddo win condition, which is super wicked. It's kind of flavorful that way, but you've got to rack up the Armada cards. So if he had one of the rears here gets you an extra Armada card to the order zone, then this should be fairly manageable, and I do kind of dig that. One thing that's kind of funny though is it doesn't call any tier dragons from the soul like the original Maelstrom did, so there goes that strategy. When you ride into Glory, that's just kind of out the window there. You're not recurring your freaking, what's his name, Inlet Pulse Dragon. You're not recurring that back to the field anymore, which is a little weird. I don't know if I like how we sort of like abandoned that aspect of the D series deck, but I mean, you can't have everything, right? There's only so much you can put on a card, right? I mean, hell, the dude was just complaining that he only had like 12 lines of text anyway. All right, let's go on to the support cards. Let's start with the Armada card we were looking at earlier. So it's a grade 2 Armada card, so you can play this on the second turn. Play this if you have a Vanguard with Maelstrom as card name. Never mind, there are no grade 2 Maelstroms. When this unit is put in the order zone, costs Energy Blast 3, so this can't be played in premium. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 tier dragon or Aqua Force, put it in your hand, and discard the rest. Ah, okay, you're filling the drop, and you're converting the card that you're putting into the set order zone for just a pretty good search range. All right, so you still need the tier dragons, and you definitely want to play as many Aqua Force as you can now more than ever. You can have like a fair bit of Aqua Force in your deck in the D series now, since we're going to be looking at 2 more support cards. Yeah, it's pretty good bread and butter stuff, and it utilizes your Energy Blast, which interestingly enough, when we look at the Glory Maelstrom, he doesn't use Energy Blast unlike the other 2 cross-ride units here. So that's I guess this is how we're going to be using it. Maybe one of the other rears do it too. Let's look at it. So Rascal Sweeper, this is the one he was alluding to earlier about how the auto cycle once per turn. Okay, continuous to the rear circle. If you have a Vanguard with Maelstrom in its card name, this unit gains 5,000 power and 5k shield. Nice. This is really useful effects. I like having this on stuff like I think her name was Elpida. She was a V-Series card for the V-Series Maelstrom that also had that basic stat boost, and the 10k shield comes in handy, especially in a format where you don't see 10k shields. Auto on the rear, once per turn. When this unit swaps position with your other rear guard during your battle phase, if you have a Vanguard with Maelstrom in its card name, this unit gets auto rear guard circle once per turn. When your other unit attacks, if it's a 4th battle that is turn or more, cost Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit until. Ah, yeah, that's right. Because if this wasn't once per turn, then he wouldn't be able to. He would be able to just get multiple of these once per turns anyway, and they would stack. So yeah, this once per turn should be here to make this function the way he intended. So that was a good call on his part to bring that up, because I would have touched on that, and it would have been kind of sad because he wouldn't have been at fault for it intentionally, right? Anyway. So the idea here is you can keep restanding this guy, which is cool because he's a 15k attacker. So he's sort of like Tidal Assault that way, where you can convert for a restand. And yeah, there's nothing more really to say about him. He's just like pretty basic good stuff there. It gives you more sources of restand, and Soul is a really really easy condition for a deck like Maelstrom. That deck like doesn't have too many soul problems unless you play in a way that gives it soul problems. So yeah, just a really good bread and butter unit overall. Last card here, I think this is Hermes, judging by the art there. Blue Storm Marine, yeah, this is Hermes. So Blue Storm Marine General Hermes. When this unit's placed on rear circle, if you have a Vanguard with Aquaforce the only clan, costs Energy Blast 3. All right, we got another one of those. That's cool. Discard a card from your hand, choose up to 1 Blue Storm Armada from your drop, put it in your order zone, and then for each Blue Storm Armada in your order zone, you may... Yeah, no soul problems is right. Holy crap, dude. That's really good. Yeah. This is so good because this is like physically putting it into your freaking order zone right there. So it bypasses the normal order play restriction that you have for the turn. That's crazy, man. That's already mandatory. But let's look at the second effect. Auto in the rear circle. At the end of battle, this unit attacked or boosted, which it's not going to boost on the big act turns skill, right? If it was the third battle this turn or more, and if you have a Vanguard Maelstrom in its card name, you Soul Blast or retire this unit, countercharge 1 and draw a card. Oh, Hermes is... Oh, he's a little bit too good, not gonna lie, man. Like, holy crap. Like, let me just go over all the things that Hermes does for you, right? So, Hermes lets you use your energy, which is a really easy resource, a constantly regenerating resource for you, to get back a Blue Storm Armada card, which is part and parcel with your big win condition move, right? But that Blue Storm Armada card also converts into advantage. Judgment Maelstrom in particular is super nifty because that is, that will revive anything from your drop and accumulate more power. So that's really good. And you can even revive the thing that you discard, so there's some inherent synergy there. You get more soul than you ever need, and then you can convert that soul into a counter charge, and then you can also remove them from the field to draw a card. Thus, you have a way around retire matchups. You can convert field into hand advantage, a la Reziel style. Wow. Yeah, this card, like, I think it like does almost too much to fix the deck, like the problems that Glory Maelstrom would have there, man. Like, holy crap, is Hermes the MVP here? That's I don't know about that one, not gonna lie. This might be like a little bit unwarranted, because like this would be like one of those 4-ofs where if you don't see it, then your strategy is going to just be hitting the brakes for a turn, which really sucks, dude. Especially because it's not a very searchable grade 1. You just sort of had like to see it off your mills and top searches and stuff. And on top of that, it's not even like a Legion mate or something like that where it was obviously meant to be a crucial career. It's just like a random grade 1. So I don't know, this seems a little bit out of place, but he definitely touched on the stuff that he needed to address to make this strategy way more consistent and fast paced there. Okay, overall, really cool cards. I like what this guy did. He captures the Asia Circuit feel with these cross rides, and they have like pretty big, go big, go home reward type of effects. Particularly, the blood feels that way, where you can ping yourself a damage and pay an exorbitant cost to go just huge and wail on your Vanguard, your opponent's Vanguard. This guy here, it might take a minute to build up to it, but it's got such a grand design. Ezel seems the most even keeled of them, right? Like, it's got like big multi-attack shenanigans, so you can combo your multi-attacks with each other between the regular Ezel and this Ezel, but there's not as many restrictions behind it, right? So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty card there. Pretty cool. Now, one thing that is kind of wild about this Ezel is it's kind of like a mask card where if you were to write this card, right? Like, let's say you wrote this on turn 3. You can choose a Ezel from your soul to write a stand and activate persona ride. Now, if you're going to be that guy, what you could technically do is you could like get an Ezel to drop and put it into soul with a drilling angel. I don't recommend doing it because your Ezel ride line only works with superior riding into Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel. But if you just want to play generic Keter ride line and try to speed up this process and be super janky about it, you can, right? You can feel like you're playing a Mass deck a little bit, but that is a little thing I noticed. So there is also some high roll elements to even freaking Platinum Ezel here. Overall, which do I like the most? I think I gotta go with the Gold Paladin ones. I know it's a little bit obvious, right? Might even be like a tad bit of bias because I'm a Paladin goon, as most of you guys know. But I'm more of a Shadows and Royals goon anyway, right? Like, Gold's is the least favorite of my 3. But this just really encaptures the OG style. It uses energy really well. Torre is a really, really cool resource unit that doesn't feel broken, but it hits all the right spots without being excessive, where I think Hermes is excessive in hitting all the right spots. Like, he does it a little bit too well compared to Torre. Yeah, and like, there's not all three of these gold paladin like cards I like a lot, whereas with the others, right, like I think Hermes is a little bit excessive, and Rascal Sweeper, he does like kind of good stuff, and I like his multi-attacks, but he's just like more the usual. Glory's a bit weird. I don't know if I necessarily appreciate that he has the freaking Megiddo skill, because it's sort of outplaced on Glory. Like, that feels like something, I get why they did it on something like Valios, right, where they had like the whole discarded Persona copy and revive from the drop, but for this one I'm like, I'm not sure if it belongs to be here, because you also want to do some like boosting shenanigans. You want to like boost up his power, so they kind of conflict with each other a little bit. So yeah, overall I would say I gotta give it a gold tier. If there was one I wanted to play test first, it would be the gold paladin ones, but the other two are also very cool. Okay, so now we're back here. Let me go ahead and do this. I've only got time for like a couple more users, so let me actually just read his, let me go ahead and read his stuff. Scratch the Gwen idea, yeah, go figure. Motivation is a truly fleeting thing for his artist, right? So I'm gonna read his Destined ones here, which is, I think that's kind of nice that he decided to already take the Season 2 stuff into account. It's what I was hoping for. I'm gonna read that, and whatever comes, oh, he seems like he threw some extra stuff there. I don't think I'm gonna like read that stuff, right? Like, wait, do I have to read that stuff? Let's see, like it says that Galaxios there. Is Galaxios actually like a, crap, okay, so there actually is like some extra cards to them. Okay, scratch that, this is a little bit too big. I'm gonna skip him for now, but then on the next episode I'm going to come back to him first, right? So we'll piecemeal his. I think that might be the most fair way to go about this, because I don't want to hog all the spotlight on that this time around. So we'll get back to you, but your Asian Circuit cards are really good, dude, so at least we got one half the equation out right away. Okay. Electric Spark is next. Let's see what Sparky came up with. If you just spice up Majesty Lord Blaster and Standard. All right, yeah. I thought they got plenty spicy with Blaster Blade the Vanguard, but maybe we can do something that isn't just like the basic like superior ride shenanigan. Although that does feel pretty epic. I mean, Raging Form being my avatar, I have a thing for superior riding from the hand. Not gonna lie. So, you know, I think that feels like kind of a peak play cycle. Act in the hand. Cost put. Okay, let me reread. Solitary Knight Gansela. Oh, Gansela. All right. So grade 3 twin drive, 13k power, yada yada, right? He's an elf, surprisingly. I forget that about Gansela. Act in the hand. Cost put this unit on top of your deck. Search your deck for up to one card with Blaster. Card reveal to your opponent. Put your hand and shuffle your deck. And just like that, Blasters have reached peak consistency. You cannot not see a blaster at this point. It feels physically impossible. You see blasters through so many stuff. You see it through Emmeline. You see it through your ride line with Marin. You see blasters through this now. Like, holy crap, the amount of ways you can see blasters is absolutely freaking insane. Okay, I do like that though. It's like the original one. You put it to the deck and you add back Blaster Blade. But this one's any blaster, so now you can fetch your Blaster Dark, because in MLB decks, you're probably incentivized to go for the standard Wingull Brave Marin Blaster Blade ride line scheme. I guess you can do Blaster Blade the Vanguard if you really wanted to take it that way, but you probably wanted to offer something different. This can actually add Blaster Blade the Vanguard now that I think about it. So it could add your multi-attack extension. Yeah, this is a really nuts card in retrospect, man. And this was pretty recent, so I'm pretty sure he knows about Blaster Blade the Vanguard. So yeah, if he's intending that, that's kind of crazy for MLB. Second skill, auto in the trigger zone. When this unit is revealed during a drive check, your Vanguard gains 10,000 power until end of that battle. Ooh. If you have a Blaster Blade in your soul, bind this unit face up, and your Vanguard gains a critical until end of that battle. You know what, man? You know what? Hear me out, guys. There's a lot of Keter decks where they don't necessarily need their ride line, right? Even stuff like the Glitter, like Thegria's ride line kind of sucks. Most of your Keter ride lines can just be anything. I propose, us Keter goons, just playing any Keter, I propose we put Blaster Blade in our ride line as our grade 2, and then we put in 4 Gancelot in order to get an extra 4 critical triggers. An extra 4 criticals. How about that? Yeah. So that, needless to say, this is quite exploitable, man. I don't think he was thinking about that implication of it, but like as a Kettergoon, I can already like see how like I'd use this in like Reziel or something, right? I bring up Reziel a lot today. I don't know, I'm just really obsessed with that deck. But you could use it in Thegria. You can use it in Youth if you want, because the grade 2 ride line in Youth, it's just CBs to add back like a grade 2 or greater from the drop. But you could just as easily CB to retire drop off a Blaster Blade. It doesn't really matter. Of course, your grade 1 ride line would have to be something different, like maybe a Maple or some crap, because the grade 1 Youth needs to be brought over by a grade 2 Youth. Still, most Keter decks could do this line of play I just mentioned. And because Ganslot does have that hand skill to search for a blaster, if you wanted to take it this way, you could also add extra blaster blades in your deck and do a system, right? Where this guy is a critical trigger, quote unquote, that recycles itself back to the deck. It puts it on top of the deck, shuffles, you get your blaster blade, so you don't neg it all, and you actually get a kind of a nice rear guard that could ping your opponent's cards, which is a good strength for Keter to have, because Keter normally doesn't have very much removal, and the removal they do have just it puts stuff to the bottom of the deck. So yeah, I would say this is a really strong generic Keter card, as weird as it is to say. So nice job, Ganslot. Lake Maiden Lian, D series. Grade 1, 8k. Okay, so the usual stat split for grade 1 and D series. Act on the rear. Cost Energy Blast 3. Yosh. Draw a card, choose a card from your hand, and discard it. Okay. I don't think I'd play that effect, but it is kind of nice that you can just like filter your hand a little bit if you're trying to like dig into more pieces you absolutely need. Like if for some reason some unfortunate miracle occurs that you haven't seen your Blaster Dark yet, this could be a desperation play to do that, and it's not even once per turn. So you really could, like if you have like 9 energy, you just EB9, draw 3, discard 3, right? And you just keep digging for it. So it does have like some of that utility there, which is really cool. So it feels like the old one that way. So you get a lot of good points for capturing the original feel. Auto in the rear circle. During the battle that a unit in the same column as this unit attacks, okay, that unit gets 5k until end of that battle. If that unit has Blaster in its card name or has only Royal Paladin for its clan, good job, Bedivere. Not that I'd ask for Bedivere to, you know, be in front of this, because you want to get K behind them. Cost Counterblast 1 and rest this unit. So that's where the rest goes. Against the following. Auto. During the battle, this unit attacked when your opponent would call cards from their hand to Guardian Circle. They must call 2 or more the battle. Ooh. So. Ooh. This is interesting. In exchange for not having the boost to Battle Door, and you're already giving a 5k with it, even without boosting it, for its Counterblast. If you're not counterblasting too much for your blaster skills, you could have Counterblast for this Lian. I actually really like that skill for this particular attack pattern, because blasters, especially when your opponent hits the defensive, blasters feel like they only poke. They only barely ask for guards, right? So one of the prime ways to utilize Battle Door is when your attacks barely hit, so you can maximize what your opponent gives up while minimizing the amount of effort you put forth in the attack. So in min-maxing your opponent, this is super good. And resting it is a really fair restriction. And even while rested, it's still giving 5k to something, so it's still kind of a booster in a way. Of course, normally the blasters that are going to be like swinging in the same column are going to be like just the 10k blasters. But one thing that is insidious about this is because it says unit in the same column, you can put this behind MOB. This is nice if Knight of Old Fate Cordelia, you didn't draw in her. She isn't a blaster, so she's one of the least searchable pieces of your deck strategy. So if you didn't get that multi-attack enabler, but you did get something like Blaster Blade the Vanguard, then you could just go for this instead. You CB1 to give that Battle Door. Hell, Blaster Blade the Vanguard might be a great one to give a Battle Door too, right? Because he only gets one drive, only gets a little bit of power. But yeah, even if it is like MOB might be like a really cheeky one to give this to, because the 5k is a magic number with him potentially. Well, actually, wait, no, hold on a second. That's Not necessarily true. MLB now normally swings for 20 once you get Blaster Blade the Vanguard in the soul. So this is 5. Yeah, okay, so this is just the same numbers as usual. But still, it's nice because it gets crit and drive, so your opponent normally wants to PG it, but then you're taxing the PG. So in either scenario, this Battle Door is super poignant. Really, 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 really good card. I love this Lien, man. This really makes you want to like try the blasters even more, dude. And Ganslot's also just like super funny to put in generic hitter stuff. Overall, I really dig this. He really did spice up Majesty Lord Blaster. He set out on a mission and he did the mission. All right, let's go ahead and do one more for the day. Oh, okay. So we're going to be looking at a Gear Chronicle card. All right, let's go for it. Steam Magician Vilvi. Is it like Vilvi? Is that the idea, or is it like Vil 5? Because is that a Roman numeral? Hell, are these both Roman numerals? So it's like 8-5? I do not understand. Act on the Vanguard circle once per turn. Cost Counterblast 1. Choose up to 2 grade 2 or less Gearoid, Gear Beast, or Gear Dragon cards from your soul and call in the rear circle. Oh, the joy. Whenever I see stuff like this, it's immediately to the Vanguard card list to see what stuff are Gearoids, Gear Beast, and Gear Dragons. But there is a lot of targets you can go here. Anything that looks like Gear Chronicle-y works with this, which is kind of cool, not gonna lie. Out on the Vanguard circle, when this unit attacks, discard a card from your hand, choose one of your Vanguards. Until end of turn, it gets auto Vanguard circle. All of your front row Gearoid, Gear Beast, or Gear Dragon get 5k power, and you also perform drive checks for the battles your grade 2 or less rear guards attack. Okay, I do dig that. So for the discard, you're actually going to get a +1, which is technically free. This is also a +2, but it costs a counterblast. There's a lot of plussing going on here, which is kind of but, and there's also a little bit of power, and you're also getting drive pressure. Ooh, that's really powerful, man. Auto on the Vanguard circle once per turn, but this unit is attacked. Okay, choose up to 1 Gearoid, Gear Beast, or Gear Dragon card from your soul, call it to Guardian circle, and it gets 5k shield at 10 of that bout. Ooh, interesting, really interesting. Okay, so you have to manage getting Gear Beasts, Gearoids, Gear Dragons into your soul, and they can either be defensive for you once per turn, right? Which is, it's nice that this is a once per turn so that you can't keep doing this and take like Android's gimmick, which is the Direful Doll boss. Kind of a dumb pun of a name, really, but I mean, it makes him more memorable that way. LOL. Yeah. So this is sort of like that a little bit. You get to guard, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're done. I'd imagine there's like a trigger that fulfills this requirement as well, right? Like Stem Deviate, I think, is a Gear Dragon. He seems like he'd be a Gear Dragon. So you could probably like guard with the Stem Deviate from the soul, and he'd be like a 20k shield. That's a really nice application. But still, you effectively +3 when you do both these effects every turn. That's really strong, and there's not a lot of cost to it overall. So it's super sustainable. It kind of reminds me of the V-Series one that way, right? Where it was super easy on your resources, and you got a lot of advantage for it, particularly when the Clan Collection Volume 6 stuff started coming out. So that's really crazy. I think the thing that would potentially hold back Steam Magician is that you kind of have to clump together a lot of cards under these types. These types weren't conducive of a particular game style, at least not in mass quantities. I'm sure you have patches that do different goals and stuff, but not only are there a lot of archetype / Vanguard restricted kind of cards with these traits, but even the generic cards aren't always that good. So you're kind of having to tie together a lot of random cards to build this ragtag team, but this ragtag team can actually win games because what you build it under is a really stunning Vanguard. Yeah. This would make a really cool follow-up to Timestamping Dragon. Timestamping was a really interesting promo. It was a Dark States promo Vanguard, right? That was able to utilize the almost full array, if you will, of the Dark States card pool by being able to time leap in the stuff. This is more focused on what it could utilize, but it also feels stronger overall. So yeah, that's really cool. There is no multi-attack here that I can see, but you get drive pressure with it, and you get some shield pressure, and you get a lot of advantage. So this reads as an attrition deck. It could probably go with your Vanguard into, with your opponent's Vanguard into the late game. I like that. Overall, probably like 9 out of 10 on this. I think this is a really cool design. It definitely reads like a super strong Vanguard, but it has its limitations because of what it has to tap into to even function. So, you know what? Fair play. This is a really interesting idea. If they did a second wave of promo Vanguards, I would love if they did something like this. All the Gear Chronicle fans would be on this like that, dude. If you would say the word go and they'd already be like putting out deck profiles, dude. It's crazy. Gears have such a strong community to them. All right. Now that is going to be it for this first go round of the custom card review. I really like the customs that we got so far. It's cool seeing, I think we basically did like all standard with the exception of the beginning, which is a really nice Legion card. There's not many cards here that I didn't like or that I thought was overpowered or like not flavorful in some capacity or another. And maybe that's just me being good cop, because I know that Nabs tends to be a bit more critical of cards compared to myself. But even so, these were really impressive. It feels like y'all have grown when it comes to making these customs, which is really awesome to see. I love that so much. And I know I'm saying a lot of reallys and I loves, but I mean, dialogue options are limited, guys. You know, cut me some slack, right? One of the most endearing things too is being able to see the art, right? Seeing the art on these cards, it helps the experience, the visual experience of it, of looking at them. And it also gives us just an image of our mind, right? You know, the typical Vanguard thing of imagine it. And just imagining what it is that the cards are supposed to look like, their theme, their flavor, stuff like that. It's so good. It's so good. And I don't know, maybe these reviews have something to do with it, because maybe there's more of a community consciousness on how to make custom cards. I would be humbled if y'all like told me that it was these reviews that sort of inspired some people to get better with it. So tell me if like that's your guys' story down below, right? But even if not, and these are just like new attempts, then man, this community has like grown in the time since the last review anyway, dude. And honestly, this is such a good start to this that I just want to like go and dig into this, but I'm going to hold back. I'm going to try and keep a more leveled pace this time around, rather than just like eat like super long videos. I'm going to try to. Those will probably end up being an hour anyway piece, right? Because it takes a while to discuss and look at cards. There's going to be a lot to get through. If you see this little tab thing on the side, yeah, there's a lot of cards we got to go through today. Not today, but over the course of this custom card season. So stay put, because there are going to be way more videos on the way, and I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of looking forward to it, if you guys do want to get in touch for the next time I upload one of these videos, then go ahead and turn the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see other Vanguard content, then look no further. I've got tier lists, top 10s, discussions, anime reactions, the whole shebang. So check those out as well. And with that said, take care, God bless.